Hello and welcome. It's Monday Market 15, the 15-minute show. It takes, 30, 40, however many minutes it takes. But we're here in Phoenix, Arizona to bring you the latest and greatest information regarding the Phoenix housing market. With me, as always, the bright, the beautiful, the bodacious Miss Ashley Miller.
Hello, everyone. Ashley Miller with Great American Title. And it's lovely seeing you guys again for the new year. Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year, Miss.
I know I missed last week because I was at home in bed.
I was here. I struggled through. I got through. I tried to bring the information, but it's not the same when I'm speaking to myself in a camera.
I know. It's not the same when you're talking to yourself, which can lead into everything we're talking about right now. So it's your decision. So how many times, it's all of our decisions. So how many times do we have to make a decision where we're talking to ourselves?
Depends on what we're talking about.
Well, we're talking about real estate here.
Oh, yeah. Real estate. Yes, absolutely.
So I think one of the biggest topics I want to talk about, not to myself, but out loud to you guys, is do we invest in ourselves or do we invest in others? And that can have it's very granular. Yeah. They can have many different tiers or pillars to discuss. So you being a real estate agent, me being in title, our job or our career, our lifeline is you selling houses, referring your business to me, I get the business, and I make money, right? But for the outsiders who are outside looking in, how do you guys make that decision? Stop talking to yourself and start listening to us, and not in a that sounds like such a teacher way. And you don't have to totally listen to us, but just be cognizant of the advice we're giving.
Yes. So I think the question you're really asking is when people come to making a housing decision, and really those decisions are to rent or to buy if you're on the purchase side, or to sell and to move on. It's really those internal debates, right? When is the right time? How much is it worth? Am I going to get the full money potential for what I'm buying? Am I going to spend the least or am I going to make the most when I sell it? All those questions kind of just glimmer in there. And one of the things that we're seeing right now is rental rates, right?
Yeah.
Phoenix in itself, if you're out there looking for a house right now, whether it's purchasing or renting, you're noticing a trend, I think. Everything's just a little bit more pricey. Wouldn't you say, Miss Miller?
Well, based upon our stats that we looked up, and based upon where I was before I purchased my home, like the renting a home is actually way more expensive than buying. First month's down. Last month, plus you've got your deposits, you've got your there's so many things.
You've got your cleaning fees, your cleaning deposit, pet fees, pet deposits.
You're just giving money away. You might as well be like, who's that rapper that used to money.
We're going to the club.
Well, we don't all have that type of money. We're not living in Jersey Shore slapping napkins, right?
And if you're looking for a normal three-bedroom, two-bath house, you're looking at an average in Phoenix about $2,000 a month, and that's a fairly small house, pretty much in the outskirts. The more inside you go, the East Valley, Central Phoenix, they're going to be a little bit more expensive. And some degraded areas you may find a little bit cheaper than that, but roughly about $2,000. So with a $2,000 rental payment, you're looking at about double that for your deposit. And then anything else they add on for fees, which is like we were talking about, cleaning fees, pet deposits, pet fees. And the difference between a fee and a deposit they give back to you.
Potentially.
Potentially. Yeah, that's another issue too. But deposits they give back to you, fees you do not get back. What I've been seeing a lot lately is like these really high cleaning fees and admin fees. Yeah. And admin fees are going to property managers. So that's something to be very conscientious about.
I'm glad you brought that up because if it's run by a property management company, the property management company has to pay, and this is not on you guys. Yeah. Property management company is being paid by the owner of the property to vet you. Okay. Credit, all of that. Then they actually have to pay to run your credit. So they're encompassing that fee. So those fees should not be demised. Those fees are legit fees that are being paid because other parties have to pay them. So don't be fearful of those fees because they are legit fees. Yeah. There's fees with renting. There's fees with purchasing. Fees are fees. Everyone has to be paid. We all need to put macaroni and cheese on our plate, right? So... But the challenge we're having right now is 96% of rentals are occupied.
Are we going to the article already?
I wasn't sure. I have a note of it, but
we can go here, yeah.
I know
Hold
that
on.
was an article that we had.
So I pulled up an article. I sent it to Ashley earlier, and I talked about how appreciation is going up with rentals. And if you've been in the housing market, if you're looking into purchasing, you kind of notice it yourself that there's not a whole lot of inventory out there. This article kind of references that. So year over year, we're looking at about a 20% rate increase. It talks somewhere right
You're showing
there. Sunbelt states. Let me get your face on.
There we go.
As far as Sunbelt states goes, we're looking at a average appreciation year over year. If you've rented last year and you're renting again this year, you've noticed an increase in rates, and it's usually about 20%, which I've seen as much as $400 to $600 year over year. In dollar value, and about 96% of the Sunbelt states, which is Arizona, are occupied.
Texas. We can go down. So Sunbelt states, if you guys aren't familiar, if you look down a little bit more, you can see like Corpus Christi. Arizona's in there.
Yeah, right there. 20%.
Yeah.
Year over year.
Year over year. So
makes me sad.
Well, but I don't think that we're paying enough attention to our finances. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to invest in a house. I don't think I can afford it. 20% down. And at this moment, I wish we had an investor with us. The amount of money that it takes to put down for the first month, the last month, and all these admin fees and all of that. And then you move into this property that's managed by somebody else. There are programs out there that are no money down or minimal is 3.5. So do the math.
Yeah.
1 + 1 always equals 2. The only difference is, and this would go into play with some people, and I'm going to play the mom card real quick, the single mom card. When you buy a property, like...
You guys play the mom card a lot.
I do. I have to. Who the hell's going to mow the lawn? Thank God I have teenage boys. But, like, there are different maintenance involved in owning your own home. However, I'm going to combat that with 100% investment in a rental is putting money in somebody else's pocket.
Well, and see, and you bring that up too. You're talking about maintenance of a rental property. What I'm seeing a lot of property managers and landlords doing is putting those maintenance costs back on you. So, like if you decide that I have to have a rental with a pool, a lot of those landlords are putting that cost back on you. Landscaping, pest control are all going back to the tenants. So it's you have to pay real close attention to all those additional fees. And not only are you paying more year over year for a rental, but you're also paying extra to maintain somebody else's house too.
100%.
So you got to be paying attention.
Investing 100% in somebody else. So you need to be very cognizant of what's happening and really calculate what can you afford and what can you not afford.
Yeah.
And it's creating that financial freedom. So where are you financially?
Yeah.
And we don't know what we don't know. That's the part that's killing me right now. Yes, our inventory is low because we're down to, if you could show that chart where we're at 0.6.
We'll go back to that.
In Arizona.
We're jumping the screen, but I will jump for you.
It makes sense to what I'm saying is
here we go.
Inventory is low.
I'm going to pull up the screen. We had talked about
Move my face.
We got to move your face over.
Move my face.
So this is our month supply. We talked about this last couple of weeks regarding supply, and so what we have in January, typically the third week of January, is an increase in supply, which also kind of dictates how the rest of the season is going to play out as far as pricing, as far as you being able to purchase a home. Right now, you'll notice our month supply is 0.6%. Let me go right there, so you can see right there, 0.6%. That means if we sell every single house, we take no more listings as of today, we have just a little over 2 weeks of housing supply to sell. That's what that means. To have a balanced market, you have to have at least 6 months, around 5 to 6 months of supply. Okay. That balanced market is way back here in 2014. See, right there. 2014 was our roughly more balanced market, and you see some seasonality. So every January you see a spike in housing. There was the cough. It kind of increased our supply a little bit because we had lockdown, so our supply went up. But that's an anomaly. And when we look at today, we need another anomaly to increase housing supply because this really foretells a future of pain regarding purchasing. Prices are going to be higher. There's going to be more competition just because there's fewer listings. And you can see the overall supply trend is going down, which means also pricing. So if you noticed over the last few years, houses become more expensive. It's kind of a big notice, but every one of these arrows represents January, roughly the third week. And as we're looking today at a 0.6 month supply, we don't have a whole lot of warm and fuzzies about pricing in the next few weeks.
Well, so with the housing being at 0.6%, right?
Yes.
People who are thinking about selling their homes.
Yes.
I'm not an agent. What is your advice? Because as we spoke before, there's 4 top things we can talk about. Yeah. Death, upgrading, downsizing, location at work. Well, people are afraid.
I definitely think they're afraid. People, and this goes into a lot of different scenarios regarding the reasons why people want to sell. I mean, location, people aren't willing to move right now. You know, a large part of why people downsize, upgrade, is because they're relocating to wherever there's work. And right now, because there's a job shortage, you know, or I shouldn't say there's a job shortage.
There is so not a job shortage.
What I mean is that there's not enough people willing to work or move to those locations. Yeah. And so they're holding on to their housing and staying where they're at. They're looking for employment that's going to be telecommuting or able to telecommute.
So that brings me into one of the things I have that is above what we're talking about is changing the trajectory of our mindset. So compartmentalizing what is really happening. Like we live in this house where the walls are shrinking. We need to upsize.
Well, how many kids are you having? How many kids do you have?
3 right now.
Oh, right now?
Right now.
What? Oh, boy. I don't know if I should know.
But understanding, like, what can you and can you not afford and minimizing.
Yeah.
So understanding what you have in your home, like decluttering. Like, this is a new year, you guys. Throw some trash away or get a storage shed. I don't know what you want to do. Minimalizing. Making, if you feel like you're busting at the seams in your home and that's your reason for selling and you're fearful, go get a storage shed for $100. Not to take away from you listening to homes.
I'm all about what's best for each person
and then
individually.
thinking outside the box, like what can you do in your current home that'll help you. So, for example, I like to bring up the rates. If you have the article about the rates. It was in there somewhere.
Before we got into the rates, I did want to kind of preface it with the 10-year treasury. So we don't. Everybody keeps asking, you know, where are interest rates going, and the 10-year rate is loosely based on the, or I should say, the interest rate on a mortgage is loosely based on the 10-year rate. So I brought up a definition here so everybody can see.
Yeah, I'm not sure everyone understands what that means.
Yes,
that's okay.
Bringing it up here. Get your face out of the way again, Ms. Miller. Let me get my face out of the way. So because mortgages are backed by various bonds and securities, low cost of a 10-year bond is translated into savings on a mortgage. Low yields on a treasury bond equal low mortgage rate interest rates, and lower rates means home buyers can save more money in purchasing a home, bigger home, or a second home. So 10-year yield, if you're wondering where the interest rates are going to go in the next few months, next few days, next few years, keep an eye on the 10-year treasury rate. So luckily for everybody out there, I have it right here. Ms. Miller.
This gets convoluted.
What do you see as a trend coming up as far as interest rates going, based on the 10-year treasury?
So it's very convoluted.
Where are rates going?
Very confusing. It gives me anxiety.
Yes.
However, we are going to go up slightly, but we are
so?
going to be steady for a bit.
Is that your prediction?
That is my prediction.
Yes.
I hate checking my stocks every day. So
I'm looking at my stocks too.
I made a decision not to check them because I know everything is with consistency and time, as how homes are.
Yeah.
So if you would like to purchase a home right now, interest rates are low. You guys, I got in the mortgage industry when interest rates were like 10%. So this is like phenomenal to me. And our housing market is going to be consistent. So if you're hesitant to purchase, like there's no, more time than now. Like now, just buy. Because I'm going to drill this in. If I had like a hammer and nails right now, renting is 100% investment in somebody else.
Correct.
Purchasing a home is 100% investment
I feel like I should buy.
in you and yourself.
She's looking right at me when
Whether
she says
you,
this is very intimidating.
Once you buy, they may go high, it may go low, it may go in between, but you're going to keep it. And it's yours, and you own it.
So
it's all yours.
What we're hinting at is that it is a decision that you make on your own. With renting, it does give you flexibility. We're not financial advisors, so we're not here to tell you what to do or how to do it.
But flexibility to do what? Go pay more
to leave, I guess.
to go pay for a rental where like you have a situation where your house is in disarray and your owner of the property is like, oh, I'll get to you when I can get to you because they have 10 properties. Like, no, there's so much gratification and pride when like you want to redo your front yard or get a new mailbox or change the numbers on the front of your house or there's so many awesome things like
they come from
home ownership. It's a pride, it's a self gratification versus getting pissed off at renting a property and going, gosh darn it, like this yard or this or the dust or the grass or the weeds or whatever the situation is, and then you're bantering back and forth with your landlord or your property manager. You won't have that.
Yeah, and there's different ways to get there. And I think in this environment where people are exhausting their savings accounts, using a lot of things on credit, be very mindful what you put on credit because that could impact your credit score. There's so many variables into being able to qualify for a home loan that you should consider before making any large purchases. There are situations where you just have to, right? I mean, there's your car breaks down and you have to buy a new car. There's situations where you something medical happens and you have to pay for that, and there's so many variables. But yes, I think that the target is to focus in on purchasing versus renting, especially in this environment right now.
Well, being cognizant of your decisions, like you talked about a car, so like maybe going and getting a loan from a financial company and reaching out to somebody who buys cars at auctions versus going to a car dealership. You're going to save all the taxes on that. Or, there's so many ways we need to be more cognizant of how we're spending our money. Like we've talked about this probably 22 months ago, my crazy Excel spreadsheets, color coordinated. Where are we spending your money? How are we spending money?
You do like your colors.
I do. Netflix, Spotify. I just found out recently, oh my God, I'm so ignorant. I actually feel like the dumbest person ever when I'm about to make this statement. Went through my finances. And I was like, where are all these charges coming from? My son Colby, I'm calling him out, little butthole. He had spent over $1,700 because my checking account was linked to his Fortnite account.
Fortnite.
Coins and skins. And I didn't
get the
pay
Superman
attention.
one?
He had everything.
I wanted
so as I was going through my finances and like line iteming everything I did, I'm like, Microsoft. I'm like, holy shnikes. So then I logged into his Xbox account and go, oh my gosh, Colby, almost an average of $250 a month that I didn't notice. That's my own ignorance.
Well, and I think sometimes switching out your card every so often helps.
But the point is I preach this all the time, and that's why I said I feel like an a-hole. I preach this all the time, being cognizant of your finances, and how did I fail to see that? Because we were not paying enough attention.
Oh boy. So yeah, talking to somebody that you trust, I think is really the end of it. Your resources, extending yourself out and being knowledgeable. Sometimes we get so caught up in a situation that we're going to go for the lowest hanging fruit at times. Meaning if we go and we need a car, we're just going to go to a car dealership willing to give us a car, but not really taking into account that could be a 20% interest rate, which does not help us. There's so many things that if you're resourceful enough and don't get caught up in your situation, I think that would ultimately help you be informed. Obviously, be very conscientious about where your finance is going. I have a little spreadsheet that I look at with my little colors, like Ashley. Every week, I look to see where I'm spending my money. But being very conscientious of that. And if the goal is to buy a house, there's people out there that can help you and willing to do it for free.
There is, yeah.
And maybe not entirely free because you do. You get me if you're using me as an agent on a buy, you get me kind of for free. The goal for me is to get you the home and sell it so I can make the commission off that. But essentially, you get me for free.
Well, we all have to pay our bills.
We all have to pay.
But I love what you said about
there's a lot of free resources out there.
There's so many resources out there, and just literally sitting down and going through them. I mean,
this is a free resource. This show is
a free resource. So like
Ashley's a free resource.
This is your decision, you guys. You get to decide.
She didn't catch that.
And I did. And create your financial freedom. Like, you get to make a decision for the trajectory for the rest of your financial life through real estate. Are you going to invest in somebody else? Or are you going to invest in yourself?
So we're talking about home purchasing at this point. Renting, again, is just completely out of control. And when you rent, like Ashley said, you're putting your money into somebody else's investment, and really being mindful of putting it into yours. I mean, there's other costs and benefits for both, and all of them should be taken into account and not neglected. Being resourceful, getting information wherever you can, even if that's watching YouTube videos. A lot of what I do, to be more informed is watch various YouTube videos. And there's so many resource information that are free. These articles that you get, and once over time, if your focus is buying a home, there are so many different venues and articles and different ways to gather information that will help you in that purchase, even if you're not ready to talk to that person. Because I know what the hesitation is, right? You don't want to be sold, right? You need a vacuum. You don't go to a vacuum salesperson because the minute they're going to be like, oh, you need this today. You need to buy it today. And if you're not ready emotionally yet, you're not ready to buy it. And you feel that pressure, and then you end up buying something you don't necessarily need or kind of regret later.
Education will eliminate that pressure for sure.
Yeah. But
we are free dollars.
You're welcome, Angela.
We are free dollars. You and I, we're free dollars. If people want to comment, if you want to
comment, like, share, put any information.
Share, like we don't. There's no. So Robert and I do this podcast every Monday.
We do it for money too.
No, we don't.
Oh, we don't do it for money.
But we don't. I don't get paid to be here. Do you get paid to be here?
No.
No, we pay. There's a pay for the room to be here. Like, this is not something we get paid for.
Correct.
This is our paying forward.
Yes. Which is the whole basis of RCO Network. Everything that we've done here is, again, in response to not having that ability to extend and find that resource. It's not going to be malicious. Or, the one thing that I come to every meeting that we talk about, or every time we get together for this network, is that everywhere I went when I started my business, I felt like I was being sold on.
Yeah.
Every meeting's like, oh yeah, let's set up for a coffee, and I'll talk to you about that marketing plan.
$5 a month.
And then for me, I'm like, I just need a little information. I just want to know what you do. I don't want to be sold on some sort of program, for $49.95 a month that I really don't feel comfortable, paying for, but I end up paying for anyway. Just because, I feel like I need the help. But at the end, it wasn't really satisfying. It really wasn't worth my time.
Right.
So, that, again, the feeling of being sold. I don't want to be sold. I just want to be able to go to somebody and say, hey, I have a question. Okay, thanks for the answer. Without any kind of this obligation. Yeah. So that's what we're here to do, and that's what we're here to provide this information for everybody out there.
And I think, I believe, it was probably almost a year ago that I had all the sheets for Excel spreadsheets. So if you guys are interested in any of the Excel spreadsheets to understand your finances, compartmentalize them, Google Sheets, like, that is something I'm very OCD about, and I can help you with it. But be very cognizant about renting versus owning in all the programs. We need to have a lender on again. With some of the do's and don'ts, because
we need updates too. I mean, the market's changed a little bit.
It's forever changing. It's changing every day.
It's ever changing all the time. Yeah. And then Angela asked, how can I get out of a rental contract? That's a little bit complex topic because there's so many terms and conditions regarding your lease agreement. Mm-hmm. Some aren't. Some contracts are very specific, written to the landlord or their situation. So reviewing your contract, I would advise you in front of an attorney, but sometimes the language in there is fairly plain and fairly simple. Yeah. If it's a contract, you typically can't get out of it.
Right.
And a contract can only be broken if all parties agree.
The thing about, I'm a terrible contract reader. When you go into a rental contract, please, I know it's a million trillion pages. Pay the $125, $150 to have an attorney read through it and highlight and point out the good, the bad, the ugly. Because typically there is mostly the bad and the ugly in a rental, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those situations where if you're emotionally in the middle of something and you need to make a quick decision, and it's like, okay, I have an opportunity to get out of this problem without realizing I'm getting into other set of problems. It's that emotion where you need to kind of always take a step back and hopefully extend yourself to somebody that can either review it for you, like an attorney, or really just read through it. I mean, there's just so many circumstances that you can get out of a contract legally and ethically, but those are very limited, and they're very specific as well. And talking to an attorney is probably the best way to.
Yeah, I can't speak on that. All I know is that when you sign any sort of contract where it has to do with a rental, good luck. I mean, when you sign a contract to purchase a home, you have your agent, you have your title company being our company. There's many parties involved, and you're making an educated decision, and it's long-winded, but it's worth it. So.
And Angela's asking, what are my rights and duties? Again, it's various, and it goes from contract to contract. So, unfortunately, that'd be a lengthy conversation beyond the timing that we have of the show. But again, it goes back to the contract. It articulates kind of what your parameters are. But if you look up Landlord Tenant Act, ARS. I forgot what the citation. I think it's 32 dash, and then there's a slew of them in there. Or
you just buy a home.
Or you just buy a home, and then it's a separate other contract.
Yeah, but once you're in, you're in.
Yeah, the funny thing is, like with a purchase contract, and I'm simplifying it so it's more complex. But if you make your monthly payment, the 20-page contract that you sign on a home loan never applies as long as you make your monthly payment. Unless you're refinancing. Yeah.
Well, let's cap on that real quick because we got to go.
We got 3 minutes.
So refinancing, I don't disagree with it right now. Interest rates are. Can you show that one chart again?
Am I going back to the chart? Am I going back to the chart?
I'm going back to the
chart.
The rates. Okay. Yes. So refinance rates are going up. Yes, they are going up. Home prices are steady. If you purchase a home or you're in a home currently right now and you want to refinance, your credit is good, whatever the case may be, just inquire. There's no harm in inquiring. You may get lucky. Maybe you can take a little cash out instead of, in no offense to you, Robert, for people wanting to sell and buy a bigger home for upsizing. But in my case, I want to add an office or another little room onto my house. I have a little bit of equity. I know that where my interest rate was prior to and the equity I've gained over the past year, I could potentially refinance my house at a lower interest rate, get enough funds to add an additional office onto my property. So start reaching out to a real estate agent to kind of get an idea of what your home's worth, a lender to understand where your credit's at, the equity you have in your property, and you could potentially expand your home into a remodel. And of course, a contractor. I mean, there's a lot of entities involved.
I'm redoing my kitchen.
Exactly. Don't get me wrong. And there's a lot of stress involved in it. However, it's not the all end be all. Minimize, compartmentalize, reach out to the right people, reach out to the agent that sold you your home, or Robert or myself, and understand what it would cost to refinance. Because during a refinance, you do have to use the title company, and we are very competitive with doing refinance rates. And most of the time, real estate agents are willing to send you some of that, and lenders obviously they're willing to do your refinance to lower your interest rate.
Yeah, and talking about decisions, because we explore this more in the inner journey on Wednesdays at approximately 2:00, sometimes 3. So the emotions behind making the decision is really what's at issue. Once you make a decision on what you want to do, and it's really just deciding what you want to do. If you want to look for a home, you have to stay on that track. Whether it's, again, looking for a new home, refinancing, looking to expand, looking to upgrade, whatever your decision is, make it and stick with it. Because I see so much turmoil, and this extends to relationships and everything else, but I see so much turmoil in the indecision. It's like there's benefits here and there's benefits here, but I can't make a decision because I don't know what's a better benefit. I don't know what's going to happen 5 years from now. I don't know what's going to happen 10 years from now. And you remain in that indecision. I am subject to that. About 5 years ago, I bought my condo what I thought was at the peak of the market. I bought my condo for $80,000, and I thought, holy shit, I'm at the peak of the market. I'm overextending. I'm overpaying. And was a great decision in hindsight. Yeah. Because now those condos are selling just over $200,000.
Intuition's your superpower.
And so, but to that, it's like once you make the decision, you stick with it. And some decisions will not equal the best in success. And some decisions you'll kind of regret maybe, but you made it and you stuck with it, and you'll find more often than not, when you look back, you're like, oh, I'm really glad I made the decision because now I'm in this position, just like my divorce.
I know
that was a very hefty decision. But as I look back now, I mean, all the emotions that I was going through at the time, now as I look back, best decision ever.
Everything, one thing I learned in life of every decision we make, no matter what is good, bad, the ugly, indifferent, leads us to the next path in our life and our next journey. So whether
is that your sign off?
Yeah, whether we're on a journey for selling our home or doing a rental or purchasing or refinancing, we're all on this beautiful journey. And like I said before, intuition is our superpower. So if you were in tune to make a major decision, you know that you have Robert and I on your side. So I appreciate you guys.
I will hashtag that to death. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. It's Monday Market 15. Ashley Miller, Great American Title. With me, Robert Morales, RCO Network, coming at you every Monday, roughly 2, 3, something like that, for about 30 minutes. But we're only supposed to be here 15, whatever. But we're here for you. So leave comments, questions, purple hearts, whatever you got. We'll take them all. So thank you all for joining us, and we'll catch you guys next Monday.